much, Dr. Sumi. As the chairman or chairperson of the presentation contest committee of the Faculty of School Business Administration at Meiji University, I'd like to officially open the 7th English presentation contest with a general theme, Youth Inclusion and Innovation for SDGs. As I believe most of you are already familiar with this SDGs, I'd like to show you a short video what the SDG is about, just for your reference. The video is made by one of the famous entertainment company. As you probably may know that Yoshimoto Kogyo just made a very short movie to introduce 17th Sustainable Development Goals.
1、貧困をなくそう王様の服いる人。2、
飢餓をゼロにやっぱり給料。
3、みんなに健康と福祉空を飛ばすナルコ。
4、質の高い教育を。臭いロケンロール。
5、ジェンダーの平等男も女も踊ろう。6、水とトイレの安全霞をしれた完備。
7、クリーンなエネルギー。
バッティング発電。8、働きがいと成長。ヒーローにも給料。
まだ倍あるよ、まだ倍あるよ、続いていくよ。
9、作業と技術革新。これ何の機械だと思う
10、不平等なくそう。
オレンジコートもハンドボンもええやん。
つむじ
つけられる街は壊してええもんやない。
12、作って使う責任。バレーボールは捨てずにかぶろう。
13、気候変動の対策。うちわで地球を冷やす。
14、海を豊かに。
着物で海に入らない。
15、陸も豊かに。陸豊かです。
16、すべての人に平和ピース。
17、パートナーシップ大事。一人じゃ無理、ほんまやな。
For a better world, for a better future. 1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8、9、10、11、12、13、14、15、16、17の目標。
Now that we all learned that there are 17 goals for the SDGs, and this 17 goals was adopted in year 2015 at the General Assembly of the United Nations just 3 years ago. And now that I'd like to show you just a short movie of this historical moment when these 17 SDGs were adopted in the United Nations.
It is such a beautiful September day today. Although Midtowners, heads up, traffic is going to be bad. Here's why.
That's right, a lot of world leaders in town. We've got President Obama, Putin, the Pope is going to be in town. So roads are going to be closed off on short notice. Make sure you have a couple different ways to get to work.
I'm excited to meet them.
This is a historic moment for humanity.
The challenge for the United Nations is that diplomacy moves slowly in a world where we're used to instant gratification.
Kids and women can have strength and they have the ability to do amazing things and stand up for what they believe in.
As a photographer, you want to be creative. What's going to happen? Is the world going to implode in the UN? You never do know. You have to constantly have both eyes open and then shoot through the back of your head as well.
I translate simultaneously from English and French into Spanish. Sometimes I do get people who tell me, oh, like Nicole Kidman in the movie. But yes, sort of.
A meeting with the 50 heads of state.
You have to know how and when to grab the moment. If you're grabbing a moment of history, you're documenting history.
We don't get to approve a development agenda every year. Once you're in the moment, it's hard to take a step back and see this as history. Maybe someday we'll be reading this in a history book.
I now give the floor to Secretary General of the United Nations, His Excellency Ban Ki-moon.
The 70th session of the General Assembly has opened with a towering achievement. The adoption of the 2030 Agenda, including 17 inspiring Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs. Our aim is clear, our mission is possible, and our destination is in our sight. When we stand together, there is no limit to what we can achieve. 3 days ago, young people from many nations stood together in the balcony of this hall. They asked for one thing above all: change. Change. We must do everything we can to close the gap between the world as it is and the world as it should be. That is the mission of the United Nations.
So as the Secretary General of the United Nations, Mr. Ban Ki-moon urged us that our mission is high and clear. Our mission is possible, not mission impossible. It is mission possible, and our destination in our sight. But the big challenge is still undone. How to connect this SDGs with our daily action. So I'd like to ask all students and participating students to give us the innovative idea how to connect SDGs to the daily action. And
United Nations.
Finish. And so I'm looking for your great presentation. Thank you very much, and I look forward to your great presentation. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. We will talk about today is does BOP and reverse innovation enhance corporate values and SDGs? As a premise, please regard this word BOP as a BOP business, please. First of all, the answer of this question is yes, it does. We will explain the reason from now. This is the outline of our presentation.
First, I'll explain what is BOP. The phrase bottom of period is used for two interrelated concepts. It is an emerging field of business strategy that focus on like products, services, and enterprise to serve people whose annual per capita income falls below $3,000. And it's also a socio-economic designation for the 4 billion individuals that live primarily in like developing country, and base of them, they are the base of the world income pyramid. Both concepts are also often referred to as the bottom of the pyramid of the BOP. So what does 4 billion people mean? It is really a large number. It is twice the total number of all the Facebook users, and it takes nearly 72% of the world's total population. So it's really quite a large number.
Please look at this data. This shows the population pyramid of Kenya in 2012. As you can see, there is a lot of younger generations. The population pyramid of the world is also like this. As young generation make up the many of the world's population, they make up the many of the BOP group. Many young generation on the BOP group are on the danger from food, education, health program, and many other problems. So BOP business is a business for young generations in the BOP group. By saving them with BOP business is necessary for their coming future. We think saving young generation is a role of youth inclusion. Therefore, BOP business needs these characteristics: strategic business and sustainability and contribution to society. And these elements are important for more successful BOP business. To understand the real needs for the BOP group, innovation system providing wide and deep value, abandon the common sense of an existing market. A business plan suitable for each market is important, but some companies cannot make good results in the BOP business.
And then what is necessary for a more successful and sustainable BOP business? We can find a hint from reverse innovation. The reverse innovation was proposed by Mr. Vijay Govindarajan of Dartmouth College. The reverse innovation is to attract attention in late years. The company can grasp local need by putting a development base in the developing countries. Bring the product that for the developing country to the advanced country is the main strategy of reverse innovations. And then let's image the liver. Upstream is advanced country and the downstream is a developing country. First, advanced country enterprise develop product for developing country, and then their lives gone will better. Second, those products come back to upstream of advanced country and make innovation one more time. This move is idea of reverse. Grasping both countries' needs is the point of reverse innovation. And we think that we can apply reverse innovation to BOP business. Because reverse innovation also have to understand and grasp the needs of the BOP group. And let's look at the case of the reverse innovation.
Next, I introduce an example of reverse innovation. It is case by Rixil. Rixil is a Japanese company which makes construction materials, equipment of a house, apparatus, and so on. Rixil put a development base in Vietnam, and there, Rixil identified local needs. Local people in Vietnam cannot use the water and electricity. Therefore, they cannot use clean restroom, and they suffer damage of environmental pollution and infectious disease. So Rixil developed recycling restroom systems called by eco-sanitation. This system is available even if we don't use water and electricity. Furthermore, this system is easy to use and is made low cost. So it has big share in Vietnam. In addition, this system is introduced into the village area of Japan because this area also have needs. So This movement is a reverse innovation from developing country to advanced country.
Okay, finally, let me explain about the relationship, the Sustainable Development Goals, and our study. SDGs are composed of 70 goals, and each has some targets. And we have focused on the Goal 9. Goal 9 refers to the industry, innovation, and infrastructure. In detail, it means to build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. And the BOP business can contribute to them. The first, as you can see, the case study of Lexo. Actually, many successful cases of BOP business has the possibility to be the system or element for the developing country society. And the industrialization, the promotion of the industrialization, many people tend to think that as an advanced country's problem because of the carbon dioxide. However, the developing country doesn't have enough resources, so the company somehow makes the innovation without enough resources. So as a result, they tend to make the product more ecological one. So as the aspect for the industrialization, BOP business can contribute to it. And at last, foster innovation is as you know, the innovation is no longer for only the advanced country. It is also for the developing country. Today, even the innovation made in the developing country can put bigger impact on the world. So the conclusion, the BOP business can contribute to the Goal 9, industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Thank you for listening.
Today we'd like to talk about developing youth for tomorrow's world. Leave no one behind. This is SDGs philosophy, which includes everyone in the world to get involved in it and implement the SDGs goals. Please look at this graph. The ASEAN countries have relatively high awareness of SDGs, but Japan is just only 14.8%. So Japan is the lowest awareness of SDGs. So shortly, in spite of saying that leave no one behind, Japan is a situation that is likely to be left behind from the world.
As we are facing turning point in our changing world, that the idea of SDGs has emerged, we assume that the role of universities also have to change. That is, from doing research just inside the university labs or in the classrooms, shifting to actually putting the research outcomes into practice in our society by university students, and let them think and find out some new things that can be beneficial for our society. Or they might find out something, their methods goes wrong, that it needs further improvements. So what we focus on is to include university students. So now, let me introduce a case that an existing university has already made progress in the early days. It is from the KIT, Kanazawa Kogyo University. So how they do is that to motivate students to deal with social problems and act by themselves, which they call project designing education. In the first year, students learn how to solve problems within their university, and in the second year, students try to deal with issues occurring in the city they live, and in the third and final year, they can work on some issues that they are interested in. to solve, such as much bigger scales like global issues. And moreover, the KIT built partnerships such as with United Nations, local communities, or many parts or regions of the world. And more specifically, in the KIT, each department has their own goals. And now, I would like everyone to focus on this table. According to KIT SDGs report, there are 18 different departments in KIT, and of all the 17 SDGs, they analyze themselves and double circle one goal that each department can contribute to the most. And I think this is a great idea to include every student in all departments, and especially think about SDGs that they're specialized in. But looking at this table, one question came up on me is that what can we do? What about us? What can the students from School of Business Administration do? And we think about it over and over, and in our view, we want to focus on the number 12 goals, which is the responsible consumption and production. And we will give you the example later on. So before moving on to that, let me sum up that what we can learn from this case is that the university behaved actively to give opportunities for students to think about SDGs, and simultaneously they build partnerships with authorities that offer students more valuable chance to deal with more larger social problems and with authorities, and suggest some solutions to them and ask for the feedbacks. So now, let's move on to the example. We would like to suggest a very practical, easy, and very interesting idea that the university can offer to the students from School of Business Administration that can make a contribution to deal with goal number 12, that is cooking class.
Cooking class is so attractive class for us. So this class has two key points. This class can achieve 3 SDGs goals and promote students' various growth. And firstly, I'd like to talk about achieving 3 SDGs goals. And this class focuses on the good health and well-being, responsible consumption and production, and life better water. And the people who don't cook are considered to be unfamiliar with the cooking basics in the first place. So they have to study and learn and cooking basics. So by teaching how to use leftovers, it leads to rethink and reduce its wasteful consumption. And by teaching them understanding the importance of well-balanced diet, it leads to review their everyday dietary life. And these 3 points can make cooking habits. So the third goal, the good health and well-being, can be achieved by making cooking habits. So next, I look at sustainable seafood and fair trade food. Sustainable seafood is seafood that is caught in ways that consider the long-term vitality of species and the well-being of the oceans. The fair trade food is a food that supports producers' lifestyle improvement by purchasing and eating them. So made in developing countries at an appropriate price. So learning and by learning and think about it, cooking and eating them. So those process leads to encourage the students to incorporate it into everyday life, and they know they can easily contribute to society and achieve SDGs 2 goals by just purchasing and eating them. Secondly, I'd like to talk about promoting students' various growth. So actually, Toyo University incorporates cooking class. So it's essential that the students work together as a team. So they have to communicate with other team members so they can get communication skills. So and it is necessary to grasp what other team members are going on and decide what to do next by themselves. So this program can develop students with independence. So if the university can do that, we believe that Meiji University can do it more effectively and make it high quality class. So, and finally, I've heard that the new building of Meiji University is going to be constructed. So we suggest making a kitchen in the new building, so to their use for tomorrow's work. From the above, so this idea is a brand new idea. And it's the collaboration between achieving 3 SDGs goals and promoting students' various growth.
So to sum up the presentation, I once again emphasize that youth inclusion is very essential for dealing with SDGs, because youth will be the major leading part of the world in 2030, which is the year that the SDGs should be achieved. So the university and students should cooperate with each other and have a better environment to deal with major world skills together. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Is beautiful. Do you think this will continue forever? Please take a look at our agenda. What do you think this picture describes? It's actually 2 4/5 of Earth. This picture shows that if people in the world consume the same amount of resources as Japanese do, the total resources we need is about 3 times as much as one Earth can produce. This data is from Worldwide Fund for Nature. Also, this suggests the concept of Earth Overshoot Day. The Earth Overshoot Day is designated every year when our consumption exceeds the annual amount of resources. This year, the August 1st was the Earth Overshoot Day. As you can see, the speed of our consumption is escalating. We have only one Earth, which is a truth and unchangeable.
And in addition to people's overconsumption, please look at this graph. This data is from United Nations, which indicates that the current world population of 7.6 billion is expected to reach 11.2 billion in 2100. Of course, population growth will lead to more consumption, and securing natural resources will be even more difficult. If we could not make our action immediately, our descendants would not be able to live happily on this beautiful earth. So, what our generations are thinking about these issues? We conducted a survey to Meiji University students in order to know whether students are aware or actually making actions towards these serious issues. And the first thing we found out is that over 90% of students are aware of the waste of resources. However, we also found out that 80% of students are not making action towards these issues. It is kind of strange that many students are aware of the problems, but they are not making any actions. Why do you think this is? We think that this is because our generations don't really understand what they can do right now and what they can start from today. So later in our presentation, we would like to share some innovative ideas that youth can join.
In general, production and consumption are closely related to each other, and the way you consume defines disposal. So we would like to focus on consuming. And the idea is that if we could change our consumption behavior, it can influence both production and disposal. And today, we have chosen plastic as our topic. The total production of plastic in Japan is more than 10 million tons. Disposal of plastic is not easy, and that is what youth don't actually know. This data is also from the same questionnaire survey we took. This shows how youth don't understand the effects caused by plastic disposal. And more than 80% of students don't figure out why disposal in plastic is bad or how those are going to affect our environment. To grasp the reality, we will explain what is going on after throwing away plastics.
So disposal of plastic holds many serious problems. Due to the time limitation, we would like to only focus on surprising facts. The thing is, Japan is exporting plastic waste to overseas. In the Environmental Committee in 2016, Mr. Yamamoto, who is government reference person, has mentioned that 1.5 million tons of plastic are exported overseas in 2016. And the total amount of plastic produced in Japan in the same year was about 9 million tons. That means 17% of plastic waste is exported overseas.
And marine pollution has been serious recently. Even right now, those sea creatures are suffering from plastic. Look at this map. Red part is showing the proportion of mismanaged plastic waste. And when you look at China and Southeast Asia over there, they are covered with red. Why? According to the investigation of JETRO, those countries import too much plastic waste from overseas, and it exceeds their ability of recycling. And finally, plastic waste has been floated to the ocean. And another article of the Nikkei, the top worst countries who emit plastic waste to the ocean was China. And Southeast Asia countries are following. So, we have no choice but reduce our consumption of, what I want to emphasize in here is, do not forget the reality that Japan have exported plastic waste to those countries. In other words, our behavior of consuming plastic have been affecting marine pollution. So we should do something, and we are going to introduce such interesting and enjoyable suggestions. So, Mirai, could you explain?
Yes. Okay. So the first idea is what we call No More Plastic Challenge. With this challenge, you pick a day and you can't use or buy disposable plastic in a whole day. After you complete this challenge, you can post an SNS, such as Instagram. Through SNS, even young generations can spread our message massively and rapidly. But our aim is not only spreading, but also people who do this challenge can learn and realize many things. Here's videos we did.
No more plastic.
袋大丈夫。No more plastic.
No more plastic.
No more plastic. No plastic. Hey, so hard. No more plastic. No more plastic.
Okay, now why don't you join us and do this challenge tomorrow?
The another challenge is this one. As you can see, students in business administration use about 12,000 bottles in a week. That's a huge number. So let's get out of plastic bottle life and find and use your own bottle. But maybe you hesitate to use water bottles a little. But actually, there are various types of water bottles you haven't encountered. You may think water bottles are heavy, too much space, unfashionable, or just boring. But look at these bottles. Light and esthetogenic, A5 size, so that fits your bag exactly, fashionable, and you can charge your phone or it can be a speaker. But these are just examples. So find the ones satisfies your needs and start water bottle life.
Let me summarize our suggestions. There are 2, plastic challenge and find and use bottle challenge. How many of you have plastic bottle today? So many, right? So you can try this challenge even in your daily life from tomorrow or even tonight. So in conclusion, today, due to lack of time, we only focused on plastic, but we should also consider other resources which we are using too much and wasting. You maybe wonder if your action really affect, but our group think every change from taking actions. And let us take actions together and let us bring bright future for the next generation. Earth should be permanently beautiful. Thank you.
All the 10 presentation teams. And now we'd like to have a comment by one of the judges. Look at the cue where you're from.
Thank you very much, Professor Sumi. Yeah, I just want to say that overall I thought the presentations today were excellent. This theme seems to have brought out the best, and really the actual mechanics of giving a presentation, most of you have down, and this is great because this is a really useful skill too in the business world, where you'll be in the future. The visuals were uniformly excellent. I can't think of a single one of the presentations where the visuals were below where they should be. And the actual mechanics of giving the speech, for the most part, most of you made good contact with the audience, kept them engaged. The speeches themselves, the vocabulary level and the grammar level were extremely good. Where perhaps I think some places could do with some work is obviously practice makes perfect, and as much as possible you're trying to practice giving your speech beforehand, pronunciation, intonation. When you have that down too, it also helps you focus more on the audience when you are speaking. In the meat, I suppose, of this presentation had 2 parts. One was kind of an analysis of a problem, and 2 was a proposal, right? In order to, so in many ways, the meat of this presentation was your proposal. I think that one of the things you want to look for with proposals, even though it's just for a speech, the proposals should be things that are practical and can be implemented. I think you need to really sort of think about those two aspects. So one thing I might suggest is that, you know, if you're making a proposal, try to be as critical of your own proposal as you can be, right? Ask as many critical questions about your own proposal. It will help you improve your proposal, and also I think it helps you anticipate some of the questions that might come later. So a little bit of sort of critical analysis, I think, of some of the proposals would have been added to the speeches a little bit. And the other thing too, I think, is some of the speeches, perhaps the structure of the speech could be improved. And partly when you're making a speech, you know the topic and you know what you want to say, but it's not always easy to see how somebody who doesn't know it takes it in. So, you know, you should, if you get the chance, run the speech by some friends who don't know what you're talking about and get their reaction. And that sort of feedback, I think, can really, really help you. But I was impressed. I was impressed. I was not tired. I was not sleepy. I was engaged. I do get sometimes, right? You know, but to be honest, right? But I was not. I found all the topics interesting, and I was, in fact, I had to resist asking too many questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your wonderful presentations. I enjoyed them thoroughly, and Hugh has said, you know, most of the important thing, but let me say something. I also have some comments. I thought those, you know, your presentations were just excellent, but some needs more improved, I think. And so I would like to mention some of the secrets to effective presentation. You really have to make your presentation very easy to understand so that your audience can follow your story without any difficulty, like you said. So don't use big words, don't use complicated structures, sentence structures. Don't use technical terms without explanation, things like that. Second point is that make your presentation very interesting, very, very interesting, so that people will get hooked on your presentation. See, that's important. Okay. Third point is that you should use very clear logic for constructing your presentation, and also make it very objective. Provide a lot of proof and supporting data, things like that. Okay, so remember, make it easy to understand, make it very interesting, and very, very logical and objective. I learned this when I was working in the real business world. I worked for a multinational organization, corporation, for more than 20 years, and I learned this by hard way, I think. So nowadays, you have many presentation classes, videos, and things like that. But in my student days, we didn't. So I learned it. Anyway, I would like to add that as you go up in your corporate ladder or social ladder, and as you assume more responsibility, greater responsibilities, chances are that you are required to give public speaking or presentations. And your presentational skills
go a long, long way in your career, in your life. So, well, please keep this in mind and give a lot of presentations and learn it that way. I wish you luck and I wish you your success, career and life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction. And first of all, I have to apologize. I'm very sorry that my energy level is so low today. I've been on medication right now. I'm on the verge of getting a cold, and I've been fighting that with medication. But I'm going to pick up my energy level from here, and also at the party. So please be free to come and talk to me, and I think I will be able to talk to you in a lively mood. Okay. And also, first of all, congratulations on finishing your presentations. I come here every year, and every year I'm surprised. And as Dr. Hughes said, the level of your visuals are wonderful. So, and all that things, I'll talk again later when we are presenting it to you. But anyways, you were all fantastic. I was very surprised. And in hearing your presentations and your insights, which were very, very special. I thought I could, if I can, add a little something to it to end our day. And as the topic, I did, thank you very much, you made it for me. I said creating a world that is equal and inclusive. It kind of sounds like a big title, but in fact I'm going to talk to you about myself, my life, and how that has led to me to think that a world that is equal and inclusive is possible, in a way. And as some of you who I've met last year or the year before might know already, but I was brought up in many, many different cultures. And I was born in the States, and I was raised in the UK, France, Germany, and of course Japan. And as you can imagine, those are all very, very different. And as you may already know, because it says here, I am an announcer and a reporter for NHK World. I'm a journalist and a writer. And I'm a narrator and a translator. And I'm a bilingual, trilingual, monolingual MC. And I'm a lecturer in 4 universities. And I'm a personal coach for many people. And that isn't what I used to do. That's what I am doing right now at present. I'm doing all of that every day. And I feel very lucky and grateful that I have all these chances to challenge doing things like that. And why am I getting so many jobs like this? Why did I have this chance? I was thinking about what I'm going to talk to you about today, and I was trying to pick up stuff from my past, and maybe I can pass it on to you a little bit. And first of all, what I thought that made a major change in me was the drastic changes in education while I was growing up. As I said before, I was born in the US. At the age of 1, I came to Japan, and my parents' home country. And I went to a Japanese kindergarten, and I did a few months, 2 months of Japanese elementary school. I still remember those times in Japan very well. I went to school wearing the same yellow hat. I had the same rucksack, and I looked exactly the same as everyone else, I thought. But I was very, very uncomfortable in school. I felt uncomfortable among other children, and I felt that it didn't fit in. And I didn't know what to do. And even in the report cards from the teachers, it always said, Michelle is very shy and a little different. And I didn't know what to do with myself. It took me a long time to understand that I wasn't shy. It wasn't shyness. It took me a very long time until I got to be an adult that I understood my own self, that it wasn't shyness, in fact. And I felt uneasy and out of place, all of those reasons, and why I didn't feel that I didn't belong here. So, how did I spend my times? When I was in Japan, I would spend my times reading books, and books, living in my imaginary world. And then, after that, I moved to Scotland in the UK. And at the time, I spoke only Japanese, so I had to quickly learn Scottish and Queen's English, both of them at the same time. And within the Scottish society, I was, of course, different than Japanese. But my difference was accepted. And that was very new to me. And because everybody is different, everybody knows that was the first basic notion that everyone had. And that kind of like slapped me. I'm like, what? It's okay to be different? You're different too? So that was quite surprising for me. And what I thought was very interesting about the school I went to in Scotland was that they let me try out in 3 different classes. A kindergarten class and 2 kindergarten classes and 1 elementary class. So through the 3 age levels, they let me try out to see how I felt, to find out where I would feel comfortable and where I would fit in. So they gave me that liberty of choosing at the age of 7, that was. And that was a very nice experience for me, to find out where I feel comfortable. So I was then given a month of special English training with the school teacher, and after that I caught up with my class, and then I was given a role as a storyteller in the classroom. And I didn't imagine myself to be speaking in front of everybody in class, but every single day the teacher would give me a book, and she would tell me, Michelle, read it to the class. And she told me that she makes me read it because I'm different. And it's because that I was able to read the stories in a way that the people could see the story in their mind. So I was very, very then happy to be given that place and to know that finally I was accepted. I was happy that I was different. I was no longer shy because I never was. I was just different. And then after 4 years in Scotland, I moved back to Japan. And I went to a very special school there for returnees. Do you know the word returnee? It's like when Japanese kids, live abroad and come back. So they have a special school for those kind of kids. And I went there because my parents thought that since there will be an environment with people similar to me, I'll be okay. But then again, there it goes. I felt uncomfortable again. My teacher would scold me every single day, saying that I was good at nothing. I was only good at reading books, is what he would tell me. And he asked me why I can't be like the others. Then again, I was different again. And I couldn't understand. I spent 7 months in Japan, and then during that time, I skipped so many days of schools. It's incredible, I can't even count, because I didn't want to go to school. And what I really love about my mother is that she never was against me going to school. When I would say, Mom, I don't want to go to school today, she said, okay. And she'd send me off with my grandfather, who had retired from work and was volunteering at a temple. He was a calligraphy teacher also, so he was volunteering. And he would take me to the temple, and I would spend the whole day at the temple. And during that time, I would clean the temple, and I would sit in a little shop, and I would talk to the priests, and I would be with my grandfather. So that's how I spent my times. And I think it was a good thing that I went there as well, because in the Buddhist religion, it was very normal to accept difference and change. And while I was doing that, I finished my 7 months of Japan. My father was again stationed in another different country. So we moved back to California. And that is when I truly learned the meaning of equality and inclusiveness in education. The school I went to accepts everyone, all children, because it was a public school. And that means children with all different backgrounds, nationalities, children with special needs, etc. And what amazed me was that they will find a special something, a special quality, a talent in every single children. And I remember that there was a Vietnamese boy in my class. He was a very good painter. But during the classes, he would suddenly stand up and say, I need to paint. It's not art class, it's different classes. But he would suddenly stand up and say that. And the teacher would say, okay, go ahead. And he was free to paint during like math class or whatever. But then what was great was that we do not nag him for that, or he is never scolded for that. But we would be very astonished with his talent because the teacher would send every single pictures to different competitions all around the country in the US. And at the school, we were all for him. If he could paint when he wanted to, it's good. If he's not so good in any other subjects, that's fine, because he's good at painting. And he has his talent. So I was very, very amazed with that. And at that school, it was my turn to be amazed again. I took a screening test there, which put me into the category of gifted children. Do you know the word gifted children? Its giftedness is often defined as intellectual ability linked to IQ scores over 130 plus. And some shows creativity, or some shows artistic or musical or leadership abilities, those kind of talents that they find through the screening test. And what they do after that was that they would put you into different classes, accelerated classes, or they would put you into special reading classes or musical classes. And I still remember a lot of those classes because many of the things that I learned there, after I went to university, I was surprised because it was far below what I did when I was in elementary school. And what we learned there was that the difference between others and being able to listen to others and being able to communicate with others was the most important things. Because having talents is great, but being able to communicate that, they were teaching us how to do that. Like, having talent is great, but if you didn't know how to communicate that with others, you can't go that far. So every time we have sessions, we would listen to others, what kind of impression they had through hearing the same music or seeing the same paintings. And we would go through that over and over and listen to all different aspects and different ways of thinking. And every time we go, whoa, I didn't know you think that way. Or we would talk with the background of our cultures as well. Oh, you think that way in Japan? Whoa, in our country we think this way. So we were able to be overwhelmed with diverse cultures and way of thinking. And thanks to that, it stripped away that haunting word that my teachers back in Japan would say, you're different, you're no good. Because in the States, they told me, it's okay to be different. You have a gift. So I was saved by that. Afterwards, it's a complete different story, but when I went to France, I came across a very special tuition system. Do you know what a tuition system is? Tuition is what you pay school. Your parents would pay school for you to go to school. So the tuition system was that it's categorized, and everybody pays different amounts depending on how much your parents make money. So if your parents are out of work, it's okay. You can still come to school. If your parents make loads of money, they will pay loads of tuition. And that's great, it's accepted, because they help each other in doing that. those who have more give more to help others. And what surprised me as well there was that we didn't know how much our parents paid. It was kept very private and very secret, so that we could study equally in the same way without being said, oh, you're not paying, or my dad's paying more. We don't say that because we're not told. And it doesn't, after that, it doesn't even matter because education should be given to everybody. So that's what I learned in the school in France. And also what I learned in the school in France was that LGBT was normal. Today, every day it's in the news. But that's like years ago, decades ago, when I was in elementary school in France. LGBT was normal. At the age of 11, my best friend was a lesbian. She was very open about that, and she had a girlfriend too. My pet sitter was a gay couple with an adopted child. And through that, we interact with each other, communicate with each other, and we understand that that has nothing to do. We are humans. We are the same. And the difference doesn't even matter. It's who you are. And through meeting all those people, learning through a lot of different country, culture, education, and being able to know that being different was fine, I was able to challenge in many different things too. So I learned that you can challenge anything, and you can also be anything that you want to be. So after living in all those countries, I no longer felt that I didn't fit in. I no longer felt uncomfortable or even different. As I look back, I realized that there was always a person or an environment or a student community that would accept and understand and communicate with me, and or others who need help. And all the doors of the jobs that I do right now, where every single doors were opened for me with the help of somebody. And those people gave me the chances to find a place where I can feel comfortable. It's amazing, all the jobs that I told you earlier, every single one was helped. Said, Michelle, do you want to try doing this job? Michelle, I think you have the talent doing this. You should give it a try. And every single one, I would give it a try. And now I have lots of different kinds of jobs. And I'm very happy I do that. And if you look back, I think you would also remember that there is a particular face in your lives too, who would have helped open a little door, or a big door maybe. And I think that it's now for us to give back that as well, and create a world that's equal and inclusive, and remove all the barriers and the limiting participation of the achievement of everybody. Everyone can have a go at it, and we should respect the diverse needs and the abilities and the characteristics, and also eliminate all forms of discrimination. And especially, we are in the university, we're in an environment where education is being held. I think we should be the ones to lead in doing that, and make lots of different places, not just here, but make lots of different places that people would feel safe and secure. And now as I work as a communication instructor, I find that there's still not enough communication going on and understanding in Japan yet. And also, during the communication, what you hear, what you listen to, of course it's up to you, but you can also change how you do that. And since I am a communication coach as well, and since you're all tired and sleepy too, I thought that we can do a little workshop here, a quick one. So I would like for you to pair up, be in pairs. If you're threes, turn around and pair with the person behind you. Pair with the person behind you. Okay? Do you have a pair? Who does not have a pair? 3人のところ。 over there. You can go over there so that you can have a pairs. Sunny, so Sunny. Okay, I think that you will have to work in 3 seconds. Okay. Okay, so I would like for you to work on how to be a good communicator. Now, first of all, I would like for you to look in each other's eyes. Please look at each other's eyes. Okay, now as you know where to look, first of all, janken. Ready? Set a good janken. Fine. Okay, the person who won, 勝った人. I would like for you to look at the other person in the eyes, but do not nod, do not say a single word. Sorry, other way around. I would not like for you to look in the eyes. Later on, I would like for you to look in the eyes, but not now. Don't look at the person in the eyes. Don't nod, don't talk. Just ignore. Okay, just ignore. And I'm sorry about the person who's not doing that part. I would like for you to talk to that person who is ignoring you. Okay, ready? Keep on talking. Ready? Go. And if you don't know how to ignore people, look at your iPhone or look at a paper, look at your watch. Look far away. Look sleepy. Don't laugh, just ignore. Okay. That was negative. Then I would like for you to do some positive listening. Now switch roles. And now the next person, I would like for you to look in the person's eyes for 30 seconds. More than 30 seconds. Okay? And nod. And say, really? Okay? So that's like aizuchi in Japanese. So are you ready? Go.
So there's
Okay. Now, the last part. Switch roles again. This time, I would like for the person who's listening to nod again, nod well, look in the person's eyes, and also try to repeat the word that the person has said. Okay? Try to repeat some of the words, saying, oh yes, today I had to rehearse so much, I couldn't even sleep. You couldn't sleep? Okay? So those are the kind of the key words that you should pick up. Okay? Ready, go. Okay, thank you very much. And usually when we do this exercise, it's quite difficult to finish off what we're saying, and the conversation kind of continues. And what you've done right now is called active listening. The very first one was called the negative listening, of course, because you ignore. And the second one was the positive listening. It's not bad, but you can do better. So the last one, the active listening, is what you have to do in real-life conversations. And especially when you're talking with somebody who's not quite used to talking or who is shy or who doesn't know what kind of topics they should talk, you can help them talk by doing that. So, but when you do that, what happens is that the person will depend on you now and rely on you as well, and will share with you a lot of things, a lot of information that prior to that they might not have talked to you about. And the first one, when you ignored, you might think, we don't do that. But in fact, is there a time that you're with your friends and you're looking at your phone? Or is there a time that, gentlemen maybe, you're at home and you're reading the newspaper and your wife is talking, but you say, but continuing to read the newspaper? Or if you are working on your PC and you have to finish this report, it's urgent, but there's somebody who's come to talk to you. You're like, I know, I'm really busy, And that is the same thing. That's ignoring as well. What you have to do is put down the newspaper. Stop looking at the phone. Stop tapping on that keyboard. Stop everything. And then look at the person's eyes and say, I'm sorry, I'm very busy right now. Then that person will understand. But if you keep ignoring, though you might not think you're ignoring, the person will feel far from you, much, much further than you think. And when you do that, you will lose communication. And you will lose the faith the person has up for you. So, I'd like for you to, as you try it out right now, continue doing active listening, active communication. And when you do that, the people around you will also change, which is very interesting. And you should try doing that because you will see more smiles, more lively talks, and you'll feel instantly that you are making a change. And to finish off, I'd like to say a word from Gandhi. You must be the change you wish to see in the world. So you've done lots of presentations today. You've talked about making a change. And some of you had plans. Some of you have already did things that started to change. But if you really want to change the world, you have to be the change, okay? And I'm looking very much forward to seeing you do that because I come back every year. So thank you very much for your time, and that's the end of my very short lecture. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, please feel free. Or you can ask later on at the party. That's fine. I think party time.
Any other questions? Well, any kind of questions from you guys? Go ahead, speak.
I think it's okay. Ask me during the party. It's your plan.
Okay. Thank you, Michelle.
That's my pleasure.
And let's once more again, give her a big applause.